Like it or not, scary stories sell. So in this video, you're gonna watch an island full of dolls, and you'll also watch the Sedlik Ossuary. And last, you'll discover the Bangar Fort and why it's called the House of Ghosts. The Sedlik Ossuary. The Sedlik Ossuary is a small Roman Catholic chapel in Sedlec, the Czech Republic. You may wonder why this church made it to this list, and you're about to find out. This ossuary is below the cemetery of All Saints. It contains the skeletal debris of over 40,000 human beings who wanted to be buried on Holy Land. They scattered this debris throughout the interior in an artistically arranged design with each bone stacked by a single wood carver. It also has a chandelier made of human bones placed in the center of the room. There are some bodies that were buried here that were victims of the Black Death and the Hussite Wars. It's said that the motive for this was to save space. According to history, devout Roman Catholics all over Europe clamored to be buried here after the abbot of Sedlec brought back soil from Golgotha in 1278. He went on a pilgrimage to Jerusalem and brought back with him the soil where Jesus had supposedly been crucified. Again, supposedly. This made these Catholics desire to be entombed here in order to be closer to their God, at least I assume. In the 16th century, the debris of people who had been entombed were dug up to make artistic decorations and attractions for some reason. And maybe this felt like a genius move, but bit morbid, bit scary there, don't you think there? This ossuary has become a tourist site for those who are not terrified of being in a room decorated with skulls and bones. Right up my alley, but I still kinda question the whole decorative thing. Isla di Camila Grande, Snake Island, and I'm pretty sure I mispronounced that. Snakes already hold a negative image for many, as their first thought after seeing one would be to take flight, except for adventurers or pathologists, and of course people who, want to fight a snake or something like that. Snake Island is a small archipelago inhabited by an untold number of snakes who became trapped in it. Located off the coast of Brazil in the Atlantic Ocean, this island plays host to some of the most venomous endangered species of pit vipers, that being the golden lancehead. It's estimated that up to 4,000 golden lancehead pit vipers live on this island. These serpents were trapped here thousands of years ago, following the end of the last ice age, which saw rising oceans disconnecting the island from the mainland. At present, Camila Grande is closed to the public to protect the population of the pit vipers and also humans who could become victims of snake attacks. Only selected researchers vetted by the Chico Mendes Institute for Biodiversity Conservation and members of the Brazil Navy have been allowed access to the island. Researchers who visit actually travel with a medical crew armed with anti-venom, defibrillators, and artificial respirators. Catacombs de Capuccini. Catacombs are known for hosting dead and mummified bodies of both adults and children. Originating in the 16th century, we have this monastery that is in Palermo, Sicily of southern Italy. Monks excavated a crypt below the overpopulated Capuchin for the wealthiest priest, who was then buried in the catacomb. His rich relatives donated for the catacomb to be maintained. Soon enough, this catacomb became a status symbol for people to be buried in. It was actually estimated that the catacomb housed 8,000 corpses and about 1,252 mummies, which are now all visible to the public. They categorized the bodies into different sections of the catacomb, with women, men, and children set in different poses. These bodies were hydrated on racks of ceramic pipe and later washed with vinegar. There were also some that were embalmed and others that were enclosed in sealed glass cabinets. The relatives of the dead often visit to pray for the deceased and maintain their bodies in their current positions. Catacombs de Capuccini has an extraordinary historical record and provides a somewhat macabre tourist attraction. Catacombs are open to the public and some bodies have also been shown in films. Jungas Road. Nicknamed the Road of Death, Jungas Road is one of the scariest places on the planet. In Bolivia, Jungas Road is popular for its lack of safety precautions, and in fact the road is quite thin and doesn't allow for any kind of mistake. There are guardrails and slopes that are steep, and the road is regularly hit by heavy rain and fog, so traveling on that road becomes a dangerous sport. Because of the risk on the road, a new one was built so travelers could move without harm. Regardless of this scare though, Jungas Road is still very much popular. Heck, it's even a major tourist destination and draws about 25,000 tourists every year. Its stellar mountain makes it even more appealing, and the public knowledge is that about 18 cyclists, if not more, have died biking en route to this dangerous road, while an estimate of 200 to 300 people have died traveling to this death road each year. Jungas Road was even declared as the most dangerous road in the world. Chateau de Brassac. Dubbed as the Giant of Loire Valley, Chateau de Brassac is the highest castle in France. It resides just south of the city of Angers and boasts of 7 floors, 204 rooms, many portrait galleries, and a private house capable of seating 200 people. This castle holds tales and legends of ghosts. The most active is the case of a double murder which led to the ghost of La Dame Verte roaming the castle. Also known as the Green Lady, La Dame Verte is the illegitimate child of King Charles VII who was murdered by her husband in the castle in the 15th century. She was killed because she was caught having an affair with her huntsman. She is often seen roaming the castle in a green dress, and what's even more terrifying is her face, which has gaping holes where her eyes and nose should be. There have been cases of her terrifying guests, and if she isn't scaring them with her appearance, she's just kinda moaning around the castle. This chateau is now a popular hotel that plays host to many events. The current residents who have owned this chateau for over 400 years have attested to her roaming the castle tower. Chillingham Castle. Built in the 12th century as a monastery, Chillingham Castle has been home to the Grey family and their descendants since 1246. It's a pretty creepy place located in the north of Northumberland, England, and has earned the title of the most haunted castle in Britain. Several ghosts have wandered around this castle, but the most prominent is its resident ghost, known as the Blue Boy or the Radiant Boy, who has haunted this castle for years. According to legends, he was buried alive within the walls, and guests who visited in the past have attested to hearing wailing noises, or even seeing a blue halo floating above their beds. This halo was accompanied by the figure of a young boy wearing blue that would approach those in the room. It was said that at the stroke of midnight, the wailing of pain and fear was heard echoing through the corridors of the castle. Thankfully, the hauntings were reported to have stopped after the castle was renovated and the bones of a young boy surrounded by decaying fragments of blue cloth were found buried in the walls. It was then said that they were given a decent burial, which would also explain why the ghosts vanished. Hashima Island. Also known as Gunkajima, meaning Battleship Island, Hashima is a 60,000 square meter cluster of concrete ruins in the sea by Nagasaki, Japan, which was once a bustling home for thousands of coal mine workers. It was, however, abandoned in 1974 when the coal mine was shut down. You're probably wondering why this island made it to the list of the scariest places in the world, huh? Well, here's how. Hashima Island is actually the most desolate island in the world. In fact, a visit to it is like getting stranded with no place to run. Though its ruins may have been caused by time, storm, and decay, the collapsed buildings feel like they're inhabited by the ghosts of the miners who lived there. Interestingly enough, the island served as the secret headquarters of a Bond villain, Raul Silva, in the 2012 movie Skyfall. Also, it is now a UNESCO-recognized heritage site in 2015. Hashima Island was entirely closed off until 2009 when travelers were allowed to visit. Luckily, no crime was recorded on the island, but decades of abandonment makes it seem pretty haunted. It's now one of the most visited tourist areas in Japan. Now it's time for the day's best pick. This one place is as scary as it sounds, which is La Isla de las Muñecas, the Island of the Dolls, and I mispronounced that terribly. There are several places in the world known to be the den for dolls and a tourist destination, but this island is definitely the scariest of them. Famously known as the Island of the Dolls, La Isla de las Muñecas is probably the scariest place in the world. It's a morbid creation of a man called Don Julian Santana, who lived on this island for about 50 years until he died. During his time alive, he amassed a series of ghastly, dismembered, broken dolls and hung them around the island. They were hung like sacrifices around the island, if you ask me. It is a pretty disturbing sight, but it does have a heartwarming backstory. It's said that Don Julian dedicated these dolls to the spirit of a little girl who drowned in the canal. It's unclear if Don Julian actually communicated with the spirit or if the little girl drowned in the canal herself. What is known is that Don Julian just wanted her to have toys to play with in her spirit life. Regardless, the story doesn't make the site any less scary than it already is. Don Julian died in 2001, however these dolls are hung on the trees of this very day. There are other legends as regards to this island, but all point to a consenting fact that Don Julian sacrificed these dolls to a spirit. Gwangnam Psychiatric Hospital. Located in South Korea, the Gwangnam Psychiatric Hospital is a legend of a real-life horror film. The story of Gwangnam Psychiatric Hospital may sound like what you read in a horror plot until you actually see the abandoned building for yourself. According to legends, patients started dying mysteriously, leading to a forceful closure of the hospital in 1995. Today, it's become one of South Korea's most haunted places. It's an abandoned building filled with disturbing remnants of its former life, such as rusted wires, fences, as well as disintegrating examination chairs. Some local legends claim the doctors were as insane as the patients, while others believe that an infection may have caused the mysterious deaths of the patients. But from the look of things, nobody wants to disappear mysteriously. The story of this hospital was adapted into a horror movie titled Gwangnam, the Haunted Asylum. It's also been designated as one of the 7 freakiest places in the world. Despite that, people still visit it every year to research the existence of ghosts. Some research even consented to paranormal activities happening in this hospital. If you got a knack for horror, you can also visit this place as well. Before we move on, I've got a little challenge for you that'll take 5 seconds to complete. So here's the deal. You just leave a like on this video, smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell, and you will get 25 years of amazing luck. Try it really works. Bangar Fort. Located in the ancient city of Rajasthan, India, Bangar Fort is one of the scariest places in the entire world. It was built in the 17th century and comprises royal palaces, bazaars, fort walls, havalis, and many temples to be explored. This fortress is so beautiful that you could drown in all its ruin. But don't be fooled. Bangar Fort is renowned for that you could actually be haunted in it. In fact, it's popularly known as the House of Ghosts. Legend has it that the fort is haunted by the ghosts of Singhiya, the Guru, and the Princess Ratnavati, which I'm pretty sure again I mispronounce. According to the tale, Singhiya made advances toward the princess with an enchanted oil he hoped would make her fall in love with him. Sadly, the princess threw away the oil, which turned into a boulder that destroyed the wizard. But before he died, he made sure he cursed the palace and condemned all its inhabitants to death. Interestingly enough, locals still believe the place is haunted, and anyone who spends the night in it will never be seen again. Bangar Fort is, funnily enough though, open to visitors, so if you want to see all the details of its eerie past, you'll need a guide. See you all in the next episode!